Picture this. It's late at night. The only light in the room is the cold, harsh glow coming off your monitors. You're just staring at the charts. A massive red candle just wiped out an entire week's worth of profits, and you can literally feel your heart hammering in your chest. Well, welcome to the reality of the markets. For this explainer, we're actually stepping away from our usual upbeat analysis. We aren't looking at chart patterns, moving averages, or macroeconomic data today. Instead, we're looking in the mirror. We are exploring the intense, psychological thriller that happens inside the mind of every single person who clicks buy or sell. This is all about mastering the inner game, and honestly, it's the single most absolutely crucial factor in whether you survive the financial markets.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why do your accounts keep bleeding? It's the brutal, unavoidable question that every struggling trader has to face. You study the setups, you watch the tutorials, you backtest your ideas until your eyes blur. Yet, the equity curve just keeps pointing down. You deposit funds, and slowly, or sometimes terrifyingly fast, they just vanish. It's a painful reality for sure, and it leads to endless frustration. You start to think, the market is rigged, or those big institutions are hunting my specific stop loss. But the truth is much closer to home. The bleeding isn't coming from external forces. It's coming from an internal hemorrhage.
I want you to let this truth really sink in. Most traders don't fail because of strategy. They fail because they can't control themselves. It's this massive delusion in the trading community that if you just find the right indicator, the perfect algorithmic system, or that ultimate hidden strategy, you're going to suddenly become profitable. Listen, that is a lie. The smartest, most mathematically sound strategy in the entire world is absolutely useless if the person executing it is a hostage to their own emotional impulses. A lack of strategy isn't the killer. The killer is sitting in your chair.
Section 1. The myth of strategy. Let's look at this internal hemorrhage. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when we strip away the illusion of the perfect system. We expose the raw behaviors that actually dictate outcomes. Just look at that number, negative $24,500. Ouch, right? But here's the thing. This isn't the result of a bad strategy playing out over 50 trades. No, this is the result of an emotional break. You take a normal loss, feel a little slighted, and boom, you revenge trade. You double your size to make it back quickly. Or on the flip side, you hit a winning streak, feel invincible, and start overtrading. A single bad emotionally driven trade can literally annihilate weeks of disciplined progress in mere minutes. One moment where you decide to move a stop loss because you know it's going to turn around, or one reckless attempt to average down on a loser, that's all it takes to cause catastrophic damage.
We have to fundamentally understand the environment we're operating in. The market does not care about your feelings. It doesn't care that you need to pay rent this month. It doesn't care that you're having a bad day, or that you've been on a losing streak and feel like you somehow deserve a win. Getting angry at the market is exactly like getting angry at gravity for making you fall. It makes no sense. The market is an unemotional, infinite machine. It simply processes liquidity and order flow. And because it is completely devoid of emotion, it instantly and ruthlessly punishes impulsive, undisciplined behavior. But by the exact same token, it mathematically rewards strict, cold discipline.
Section 2. Gamblers versus professionals. It's all about choosing your mindset.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast in core desires. Every time you open your platform, you're at a fork in the road. You're choosing one of two distinct mindsets. Amateurs come to the markets seeking excitement. They want the adrenaline rush of a fast-moving chart, the dopamine hit of a quick win, the whole cinematic experience of being a high roller. Professionals, on the other hand, they want consistency. And frankly, consistency is boring. The professional's desk isn't a scene from a Hollywood movie. It's a quiet, controlled environment, centered completely on routine and risk management. If your trading feels like a thrilling roller coaster ride, I hate to break it to you, but you're doing it wrong. Professional trading should feel like a repetitive, unexciting job.
Let's completely redefine the paradigm right now. How do you actually know if you're gambling? Well, here's the blunt definition. If you are trading without following your own established rules for even a single week, you are not a trader. You are gambling. Honestly, it doesn't matter if you have 6 screens, the fanciest charting software, and read financial news all day long. If you abandon your trading plan, ignore your predetermined risk, and take random entries based on a gut feeling for even just a few days, you have stepped out of the financial markets and right into a casino. You're simply playing a game of chance.
Section 3. The cost of emotion. Let's look at the real psychological toll.
When you operate like a gambler, the psychological toll is immense. Think about it. You don't blow a funded account because you misread macroeconomic data. No, you blow it because the market acts as the ultimate mirror, ruthlessly exposing weaknesses you just refuse to deal with. Ego, holding a losing position because you simply refuse to be wrong about the direction. Greed, trying to squeeze that very last cent out of a runner, only to watch it reverse and turn a winning position into a painful loser. Impatience, forcing a trade in a choppy, sideways market just to feel productive because you feel like you need to be doing something. Fear, exiting a perfectly good setup prematurely at the very first red candle, paralyzing you from letting your actual edge play out. These are the real forces moving your cursor.
Section 4. Protecting your capital. Learning to survive first. So how do we step out of this vicious cycle of emotional destruction? We flip the script. We go from offense to defense. The absolute golden rule, the bedrock foundation of every professional trader's mindset, is this: protect your capital, survive first. I know, it sounds incredibly simple, right? Yet it is almost entirely ignored by the amateur. If you prioritize making money over protecting what you already have, you will inevitably take oversized risks. But professionals, they understand that capital is their inventory. It's their lifeblood. Without capital, you can't participate in the next high-probability setup. Without capital, the game is permanently over. Therefore, tight risk management and setting strict stop losses isn't just a good suggestion. It is the absolute prerequisite to profitability.
Section 5. Consistency through repetition. Getting used to the boring routine.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Profitability isn't built on motivational hype or, finding some secret Discord group. It's built on mastering a boring routine. Step 1. Wait patiently. You might literally sit for hours or even days without clicking a button. Step 2. Protect capital. You ensure that when you are wrong, and trust me, you will be wrong often, the damage is minimal and totally predefined. Step 3. Execute high-quality setups. When your highly specific criteria are finally met, you act without hesitation. Notice how waiting comes before executing. The very best traders in the world are often just bored. They drink their coffee, they watch the charts slowly tick by, and they wait. They don't force the market, they let the market come to them.
You've got to completely dismantle this beginner's assumption that constant action equals constant profit. Stop trying to get rich fast. In trading, more trades do not mean more money. In reality, more trades usually just mean more mistakes, more fees, and a whole lot more emotional fatigue. You do not need to catch every single move the market makes. You don't need to trade the open, the lunchtime lull, and the close. You only need to identify and execute your high-quality setups and repeat them consistently over time. In this game, less is almost always more.
Section 6. Mastering yourself first. The ultimate battle.
So the crucial point is this. We are arriving at the core truth of it all. All the technical analysis, all the perfectly drawn trend lines, all the fundamental research, it all bows down to one thing: your psychology. Yes, your strategy matters. You need an edge. You absolutely need a system with a positive expectancy. But your psychology is the gatekeeper. Your psychology decides whether you actually follow that strategy when the pressure is on. Look, it's easy to follow a plan in hindsight on a static chart. It's a whole different ballgame. It's incredibly difficult to follow a plan when real money is on the line, the candles are moving violently, and your brain is just screaming at you to react emotionally.
Ultimately, the traders who survive, the ones who actually transition from bleeding accounts to consistent profitability, realize a profound truth. Trading is not a battle against the market. You cannot beat an infinite machine. You can't control price action. The only thing you can ever actually control is yourself. It is entirely a battle against your own emotions. It requires you to look deeply in the mirror, recognize your flaws, and master your own impulses long before you ever attempt to master the charts.
The moment you become disciplined and emotionally controlled, literally everything changes. You stop acting like a desperate gambler and you start acting like a professional. Trading was never really about the market. It was always about mastering yourself. So, ask yourself, when you sit down at the charts tomorrow morning, who's going to be clicking the mouse? The gambler or the professional?